What up, y'all? This is Jigster. You're listening to the Buffalo Juggalo Radio Show on Hatchet Radio.
And we're back with the Buffalo Juggalo Radio Show. And it is time to get schooled by Polmar. Oh yes. Our subject for exploration this week. Now that sounds kind of, I don't know, dirty or something. Exploration. Today's lesson is in earth science. We've been doing a lot of science lately, I know. I don't know, maybe we'll do a little more history next week or something. Or, well, no, actually, next week is Halloween. Maybe we'll have to do something on it. Anyway, today's topic is earth science. As always, I'll have the notes posted up online on the wall for the Buffalo Juggalo Radio Show Facebook page. And basically, now we're not going to cover all of earth science, obviously, but what we're mainly going to talk about is rocks and the pieces of the earth, sort of. Now, first of all, there's three main types of rock. Now, there's the igneous rock, sedimentary rock, and metamorphic rock. Now, igneous rock is that smooth, crystalline-looking rock. It's formed from cooled magma. Magma is, molten rock. It's basically liquid rock in the ground. It's hot. It comes up out of a volcano. Once magma is while it's inside the ground. Once magma touches the surface and is exposed to the air, it is then called lava. When lava cools, it forms igneous rock. Or when magma cools in the ground, it forms igneous rock. Now, sedimentary rock, it's often called the secondary layer. What it is it's just all the broken pieces of rock just over time, whether it's erosion or just, other weathering or displacement, the glaciers, earthquakes, anything like that. Anything that breaks down rocks and wears them down, they sort of get sifted down, and so what you see, like you look outside at loose gravel, or if you were to dig down a little bit and you find, gravel and rocks, there's different types of rocks. There are all sorts of different kinds. And that's what the sedimentary is. It's a mixture of all the different broken pieces of rock. Generally, it's down a little more, into the layers. You'll actually see it. Like if you've ever been out to, I don't know, like a state park, or if you live near, just big hills or mountains or anything like that, or like the side of a cliff face, or sort of, you can look and you can see actual, the different layers in the rock, depending on where you are. Like, I live near a state park called Letchworth. It's got these waterfalls and stuff. You can walk down there and there's a lot of shale, which is like this, like thin layers of rock that it breaks off in like these thin sheets that just snap in half. You've probably seen it. There's just, different layers of it. So that's the sedimentary is. And then there's metamorphic rock, which basically is just any rock that has gone through a change. It's sort of like sedimentary in a way, just a rock that's been moved or weathered or anything like that. Like sediment is the pieces of rocks, like kind of pressed together. Metamorphic is the actual changing of the rock itself. So they can sort of go hand in hand. Now, back to sedimentary rock for a moment also. There's also three different forms of sediment rock. I won't get into that right now, but there are three different forms of classification as well for that. Now, when it comes to the actual layers of the Earth itself, there's a lot of layers. There's four main layers, because we're just kind of doing, like middle school review here, I think. We're not trying to get too scientific on you. But there's four main layers. Obviously, there's the center of the Earth, which a lot of people call it the core, but it's actually the mantle, is what it is. Outside of the mantle is the inner core. Outside of that is the outer core. So I guess, you could call the core as the whole thing as itself, but, the core is three different layers. And then you have the crust, which is the outside, the dirt. It's what we're walking on. I mean, obviously it's deeper than that. It goes all the way down until it hits the core, but that's what's considered the Earth's crust. Now, sometimes there's, a break in the crust, a break through the layers. And that is, the most common kind of one is a volcano. Now, a volcano is, it's basically a mountain. It opens downward to a pool of molten rock below the surface of the Earth. And when pressure builds up, eruptions occur. Gases and rock just shoot up through the opening and just fucking spill everywhere, all over. Fills the air with lava fragments and smoke. Look up Mount St. Helens. It was in the 1980s, I think. That pumped out, hundreds of times more chemicals into the air within just a few days than we as humans could produce with pollution in a lifetime. I mean, these things are fucking massive. Alright, so eruptions can cause lateral blasts, lava flows, hot ash flows, mudslides, avalanches, falling ash, and floods. I mean, volcano eruptions have been known to knock down entire forests. They can also trigger, tsunamis and earthquakes and rock falls, everything else. So, how are volcanoes formed? Volcanoes are formed when magma from within the Earth's upper mantle works its way to the surface. At the surface, it erupts to form lava flows and ash deposits, and over time, as it continues to erupt, it gets bigger and bigger. So, it erupts, spills some out, and then that cools. And then sometime later, it erupts again, spills some more out on top of the old one, and it cools. So it's layered. Okay, like the volcanic mountain, it's in different layers. Generally ash and lava. There are 3 different stages of volcanoes. There's active, dormant, and extinct. An active volcano is one which has recently erupted, and there's a possibility that it may erupt again soon. A dormant volcano is one which has not erupted in a long time, but there is a possibility it could erupt again in the future. And an extinct volcano is one which has erupted thousands of years ago, and there's no possibility of eruption again. So, now, why do volcanoes erupt? Well, the Earth's crust is made up of huge slabs called plates. Plate tectonics, which fit together kind of like a puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle. And sometimes the plates move, they shift. The friction causes earthquakes and volcanic eruptions near the edges of the plates, right along, in the cracks and the seams. The theory that explains that is, like I said, it's plate tectonics, which is basically, they're bumping together. Sometimes they go above or below, or cause whatever. So, now on to volcano. Now there's a lot of volcanoes on Earth. I just want to mention there are over 1,500 active volcanoes on the Earth. We currently know that there's 80 or more that are just under the oceans. A lot in the Pacific Ring of Fire, and there's also there's different types of volcanoes and everything else. We won't get into quite that today, but I do have a diagram up on the note board. Just kind of the parts of the volcano. You have your magma chamber, which is underground. It's full of the magma. And then you have one main conduit pipe that goes straight up where it erupts out of. But also you have these little branches, these side vents, and they're also called dikes, that branch off also. Sometimes they'll peek through the crust a little bit and leak a little lava out, but not much. Mainly they just head straight up the conduit pipe. They fill the crater, and then it erupts. When a volcano cools over, it actually sometimes it'll make kind of like a dome over top of the cooled rock until it breaks and falls in. All right, moving on from volcanoes. We could talk about volcanoes for a while. Volcanoes are fucking awesome. Moving on a little bit here, something else you might remember from middle school, the properties of minerals. Basically, just a quick review. A mineral is a naturally occurring inorganic solid which possesses a characteristic internal atomic structure in a definite chemical composition. And basically now there's, if you remember, there's 6 main different ways to categorize minerals. I remember we used to sit in earth science class, actually, when I was in the 9th grade or whatever. And we'd have these little groups, and we'd have like these different like rocks and pieces of whatever. And we didn't know what they were, but we had to go through all the different properties and check off, what each thing was and write it down and then try to, look at charts and decipher what the rock was from that. So basically there's 6 main ones. There's hardness, streak, color, cleavage, luster, and specific gravity. First of all, hardness basically is just, the hardness of it. Its ability to resist scratching, meaning you can't scratch it. Secondly, streak. Streak is the color of the powder left on a streak plate. If you remember, it was a piece of unglazed porcelain, and you would take it and you would just kind of scrape the rock against it, and it would leave like the powder residue behind. That was the streak. Color is kind of obvious. What is the the color of it? Cleavage, and I'm not talking titties. Cleavage is the ability of a mineral to break along preferred planes. It's where it snaps. It's kind of like its axes in a way, sort of its grain, kind of, if you will. Luster. Luster is how much light is reflected. So basically, is it shiny or is it dull? Is it metallic looking or non-metallic? And then specific gravity is just the weight, the heaviness. And it's kind of based on water has a gravity of 1, so it's kind of based on that also. But that's what is specific gravity. It's kind of a fancy term for saying weight, heaviness. So those are your properties of a minerals. You obviously have to look up a chart to see what each luster means, what each color means, etc. But we don't have time for that today. I was hoping we did, but we wouldn't. I'm going to wrap this up. We'll have to continue our earth science lesson a different week. For now, we'll go ahead and take this out to a break. What we got coming up here? We have Jared Benton with All of Dat, a brand new track he just put out. Also, another brand new track. This is Raza Kel featuring Whitney Payton with Superstar. So peep these out. We'll be back here in a few moments with Scotty D's interview with Blaze Your Dead Homie, right here on Hatchet Radio.
What's up, everyone? I'm Polmar.
And I'm Trippy Two-Face.
And we're the hosts of the Buffalo Juggalo Radio Show.
You can catch us every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern on Hatchet Radio.
We'll be bringing you all the freshest in underground music news, interviews, featured artists, and so much more.
With a special focus on the 716 and beyond. This is the official broadcast of Buffalo Juggalos.
Come scope us out at hatchetradio.net and hit us up at facebook.com/Buffalo Juggalo Radio Show.
We have tons of contests and giveaways coming up on our page.
So don't sleep on
The Buffalo Juggalo Radio Show, Saturdays at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Only on Hatchet Radio.